Let's give it up, Mark!
Thank you. This is my first time sharing at the Moth, so. Woo! All right. So I love food. I love eating. Every meal to me is an opportunity. And when I met my wife, I was 30 pounds heavier than I am right now. And she whipped me into shape, and she taught me that if it had fried chicken and a taco shell, it wasn't a salad. And so when we planned a trip to an all-inclusive resort in Mexico, I knew I was in trouble because there'd be all manner of food and drink just always available, and for good reason. So every breakfast included chilaquiles and a churro. And, day after day, daiquiri after daiquiri, taco after taco, dessert after dessert. I could feel myself getting heavier. And I made a comment about it to my wife, and she politely agreed. And so it was in the early morning hours of the 5th day of the trip when I resolved that I was going to cool it with the food. I was not going to grab ice cream just because it was the afternoon. I was going to cool it with the second helpings at the buffet. And the reason I was up in the middle of the night was I was feeding my 7-month-old daughter on the veranda of our hotel room. So I have 3 children, which 3 is no joke. And if there's any parents out there, you know that if vacationing with children is not a vacation, you're just yelling at your children someplace else in the world. That's how it is. And so my oldest daughter, she's almost 7, and she is very confident, and she is sassy and fierce and smart as a whip. And so she's kind of like cinnamon, right? Her sweetness has a bite to it. And I got a 4-year-old son, and he is like molasses or honey. It's just like overflowing, like dripping sweetness. And he's got these like beautiful, big, soulful brown eyes and this beautiful bowl of hair and this devilish smile, and he still needs his blankie. And he loves his snuggles, and I'm blessed. I'm blessed once a day. He'll say, "Daddy," and I'll say, "Yes, boy chick." And he'll say, "I love you." "I love you too, boy chick." And then my 7-month-old girl, she is like a marshmallow. She's mushy and sweet, like in the best way. And so the next morning, after a breakfast that was only 1 serving of chilaquiles, we decided to go down to the beach. And we'd been to the beach earlier that week, and I was in full dad mode. So I'm wearing my baby daughter in a carrier, and I've got a backpack with my camera on my back. On one hand, I've got the diaper bag, and on the other hand, I've got like a bag full of beach toys. And my wife is no slouch, so she's got like a stack of towels you need for the hotel lounge chairs, and then she's trying to wrangle the other kids with her free hand. And so we're going, and we're trudging through the sand, and we're going to meet my in-laws, and they are holding chairs for us. And we get there, and they are haggling with a Mexican merchant who is selling beach jewelry or whatever. And so as I'm putting the stuff down on the chairs and I'm undoing the carrier, I kind of notice that in the back of my mind that the waves are a little louder than they were earlier in the week, and the water's coming up a little higher on the sand, and so all of a sudden I hear my daughter yelling to my son, "Run!" Yeah. And so I'm holding my daughter, the baby, and I look down the beach, and my kids had gone about 15 feet towards the water, and now my daughter was running back from the coming waves. And my son, he is not as confident, and he's not as experienced with the ocean, and he's not as coordinated, and his feet are fighting this undertow, and I look into his eyes, and he's terrified because he knows he's in a little bit of trouble. And so I see the wave hit him, and he falls face down into the water, and he's covered in water, and I sprint into the surf. I'm holding my baby, and I see him, and he's starting to find his footing, but he's still underwater. And another wave comes, and now this one tumbles him, and he's twisting in the surf, and there's all kinds of mud. And I get to him, and now the water's up to my thigh, and I am freaked out because I think I'm going to have this dilemma where I am going to have to either stand there and watch my son get swept away into the surf, or I jump in with a baby and try to save him. And And so, but it doesn't last because I grab him by the arm and I pick him up, and my wife is instantly there, and she takes the baby out of my arm, and my son is covered in sand and he is trembling, and I pick him up and I hold him really tight, and he holds me tighter, and he's fine. He didn't take in any water. He's just really scared. So about half an hour later, we're on these lounge chairs and our nerves are still frayed. And we're starting to calm down, and the baby is asleep in my arm, and my son is curled up under a towel between my legs on this lounge chair, safe. And I look at my baby, I look at my son, and I look at my daughter, and I look at the beach and the sky. And I turned to my wife and I said, honey, I think for the rest of this trip, I'm gonna eat whatever the fuck I want.